What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Doctor Who classic review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the second Doctor Patrick Troughton story, The Abominable Snowmen. So this is one of the newer animations. There hasn't been a few new animation for a little while now, and I am a bit behind on the animations anyway. There are newer ones that I haven't watched, but yeah, this is one of the newer ones, possibly, or maybe not the newest Troughton one. I think that might be Underwater Menace. But yeah, Abominable Snowmen, the first appearance of the Yeti, of course their second appearance being in the Web of Fear, which I have already reviewed. Check that out in the playlist if you want. But yeah, let's get into this. This is The Abominable Snowmen by Mervyn Haseman and Henry Lincoln. In the 17th century, an old Tibetan friend of the Doctor's reached out and touched the mind of an alien disembodied energy known only as the Great Intelligence, giving it a conduit to Earth. 300 years later, the Doctor revisits the Himalayas because he wants to return the holy Ganta, an ancient relic he was given many centuries ago by the grateful monks and their master Padmasambhava, I'm probably butchering that, at Det Sen Monastery. On arriving, however, the Doctor is treated as a villain, blamed for a series of brutal murders in the area. Jamie and Victoria, meanwhile, discover the true culprits. The previously peaceful Yeti that live in a seclusion on the mountainside have apparently turned violent. The Doctor must convince the monks that not only is he not their enemy, but the real foe, and the power controlling the Yeti is living amongst them. So there's a lot going on the back of the DVD there. It's actually telling you a lot of the story, to be honest. That is quite a large kind of synopsis on the back there, but yeah, let's get into this with the cast. Patrick Troughton as the second Doctor. Yeah, Patrick Troughton is very good in this one. I will say it is hard to talk about the cast too much in this episode, because in this story, because it's a six-parter, but only one part, I believe it is part 2, is actually available to watch, like, properly. Every other episode is animated, so that is how I always watch these. If there are surviving episodes, I watch the surviving episodes, and then for the rest of it, I of course watch the animated episodes. But yeah, so it's difficult to actually say how good an actor is, because most of the time you're just hearing them, not seeing them. But from what I can tell, Patrick Troughton has some great stuff in here. He has some little funny moments, and some serious stuff, and just all round, yeah, good Patrick Troughton stuff. Fraser Hines as Jamie McCrimmon. Yep, Jamie is fine. The character of Jamie's fine. Fraser Hines is fine in this one. Once again, there's not really a massive amount to say. Same goes for Deborah Watling as Victoria Waterfield. I believe, is this the first episode after? Yeah. So, well, actually, it's technically Victoria's third episode, I guess, because she was introduced in The Evil of the Daleks. The last episode was Tomb of the Cybermen, which was her first proper full story, and then now this is her second full story, The Abominable Snowmen. But yep, Fraser and Deborah both perfectly fine in this one. Let's get on to some points about this episode. The Doctor is accused of attacking and killing someone. So when they arrive, they go to this monastery, they meet all the monks, and they are instantly accused of killing people. Now, it's actually Professor Travers who is the main one accusing the Doctor at first. Eventually he kind of comes around, but it does take him a long time. He's very much accusing him of, you know, of killing this person who I think was like with Travers on the mountain. Yeah, they're accusing the Doctor of killing him, and yeah, it's pretty brutal. And the Doctor, for most of the story, to be honest, a good half of the story, is, you know, trying to convince everybody else that he is not the one doing the killing here. Victoria doesn't seem at all worried about this beast they're tracking, and then she is scared and Jamie isn't. So yeah, the Doctor goes to the monastery, and meanwhile, I think Jamie and Victoria are supposed to just kind of hang around the TARDIS, but they leave, they go into this cave, and yeah, they're basically being tracked down by this beast, because they've already heard by this point that there is a beast, and it's like, oh, what is this beast? What's going on here? So Victoria is the main one who gets quite adventurous and like interested in like, oh, what's going on here? I mean, it is an early time in the TARDIS for her, so maybe she doesn't quite know, you know, the dangers of traveling with the Doctor yet, but her first two stories have been with the Daleks and with the Cybermen, two of the Doctor's most deadly foes. So you'd think by this point she'd be like, maybe we shouldn't just go wandering in a dark cave alone without the Doctor. But she does that. She doesn't seem worried at all. And then once they start hearing noises and they go in a bit deeper, then she starts getting really scared. She's like, because, it starts off where she's going to Jamie. Jamie's like, I don't think we should be doing this. We should not be going in this cave. And she's like, nah, don't worry about it, Jamie. We'll just do it. And then they get deeper in the cave. And then she's like, oh, I don't know why we came in here. Oh, we need to leave. And then at that point, now all of a sudden Jamie's like, well, we're here now, we might as well just, it feels very random. Victoria goes from having a go at Jamie because he doesn't want to go in the cave, and then having a go at Jamie because he doesn't want to leave the cave. It's like, pick your side, woman. The beast is a Yeti. So we get our first proper glimpse at the Yeti with Victoria and Jamie. That is what the beast is that they were tracking, was tracking them. And I think at that point, that's the one that gets caught in like the rock fall, I think. But yeah, it is this big Yeti. That is the beast that Travers and all that have been talking about. The Yeti aren't usually aggressive, so why are they now? So I can't remember if it's Travers or if it's kind of the monks at the monastery that say, look, the Yeti, we have the Yeti around, they know about the Yeti, but they're just peaceful. They don't harm anyone, they don't bother with anyone, they're perfectly peaceful creatures, but for whatever reason now they are. So I think that's another reason why I think like the Doctor and Jamie and that they say, look, it's a Yeti that's killing people. They're like, nah, it's not the case, they're peaceful. And it's a long time before they actually come around to the fact that, oh, maybe it is these once peaceful creatures that are doing this killing. The Yetis are robots. So we find out these Yetis aren't even real creatures. They are robots being controlled by someone. It's a little while till we figure out exactly who they're being controlled by. But yeah, the Yetis are actually robots. Now that does make me think, are there real Yetis though? Are there real Yetis? Because the monks and that go on about how, the Yetis are nice and peaceful. So, but from what I understand, we don't see any real Yetis. They're all robots. So are there real Yetis out there somewhere? I'm not 100% sure. The Yeti attacks Victoria and the monks. So they manage to kind of capture a Yeti. They have it down in kind of the basement of the monastery, I guess you could say. And they think it's like dead, but then, yeah, they find out it's a robot and it just kind of comes back to life and then attacks Victoria and the monks. And at that point in time, the Doctor and Jamie aren't there with them. So yeah, Victoria's in a little bit of trouble. The Doctor takes the sphere out of a Yeti that controls it, but it moves itself to go back. So yeah, the Doctor finds out that there's basically this, I think he pretty much cuts open a Yeti, which is a weird thing. Like there's a couple of Yeti kind of somewhat guarding the TARDIS, but the Doctor just kind of walks up to them and he's like, well, they're robots. They can't see, they can't hear or anything. You can just walk up to them and they have no idea you're there unless somebody is controlling them. Which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, because it's like, well, yeah, when we see them being controlled later on, they just kind of show them like moving them. So I don't know how they control the Yeti to actually attack people and to chase people. I don't really understand how that works. But anyway, at this point in time, these Yeti, they cannot see or hear the Doctor and Jamie. So the Doctor just goes up to one, basically cuts out its like sphere. That is what, it's kind of like this orb in its chest that controls it, and yeah, takes it out. So it's like, all right, well, now it can't move. However, it like magnetically kind of tries to go back. It like calls for it, like this horrible like alarm siren sound starts playing, and it's trying to like basically magnetize itself back to where it is supposed to go. So even if they take out these orbs, they're just going to go straight back again. The Yeti destroying the monastery. So, yep, I'm not sure if at this point it's I think this is that one single Yeti, or by this point, actually, I think a few Yeti have come down to the monastery and they are destroying the monastery. And yeah, basically trying to kick the monks out. And that is the plan of the person who is in charge of these, who is controlling these Yeti. Padmasambhava possesses Victoria. Really difficult name to say. I think that's how you say it, but it is a very difficult name to say. He is the one controlling the Yeti, and he's this kind of figure that only one guy can see. What's his name? I'm just trying to see. Is it Songston, or is it someone else? I'm not 100% sure. I'm looking at the list of characters, but yeah, there's one guy who kind of who can talk and communicate with Padmasambhava. And he's kind of, it turns out he's kind of working with with him, although it's actually more that he's being controlled by him more than anything. But yeah, he is the one moving the Yeti and controlling the Yeti, and he then also possesses Victoria. Padma is under control by the Great Intelligence. So this is when we get properly introduced to the Great Intelligence. So basically, this whole thing is people being controlled by people, being controlled by an intelligence. Basically, the Great Intelligence is just this kind of bodiless intelligence, really, that needs a host. So it's using Padma as a host. He is then able to kind of possess people through the Great Intelligence, is able to possess people and do stuff to people through Padma. So that's when, you know, the other guy, Sorensen or whatever his name is, gets possessed, and then the possessing of Victoria as well. So it's all a game of everybody possessing each other, but at the heart of it, it's the Great Intelligence. Doctor hypnotizes Victoria out of the trance. I like this scene when they get Victoria back. She comes back to the Doctor and Jamie, but she keeps kind of saying the same thing every time the Doctor speaks. She keeps saying like, "Oh, you've got to save me. You've got to get me out of the monastery. We've got to get away from here," because that's basically what the Great Intelligence has put into her mind, that she's saying, "Look, we've got to get out of here," because that's what the Great Intelligence wants. It wants them all to leave this monastery. But the Doctor, yeah, he's able to hypnotize Victoria to get her out of this trance, which I thought was a nice little scene. They destroyed the control sphere and the pyramid to stop the Great Intelligence and the Yeti. So yeah, eventually the Doctor, Jamie, everybody goes down to where Padma is. He figures out that this is the Great Intelligence, and basically the Great Intelligence is within this kind of sphere thing. That is where it's technically living. So if they destroy that, and then they destroy this pyramid, which is basically, from what I understand, that is what is giving them the ability to control the Yeti. They destroy that, destroy the sphere, the Great Intelligence is no more, they can no longer control these Yeti, and everything is saved. It's a nice little end scene. It's a little bit quick how they just kind of go around bashing stuff, and that's how they win. You know, it's a little bit like, oh, that was a bit too easy, but it is a fairly exciting end. So there we go. That was my review for The Abominable Snowmen. A rating for this episode? I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I think it's a fine episode. It's a pretty good episode. As with a lot of episodes in this era, it is too long. 6 episodes, it's not needed. Make it a 4-parter, and it could be an 8 out of 10. I think it's a 4-parter, maybe an 8.5. But as it is, yeah, 6 parts, it does drag a little bit here and there. But it has some nice moments, it has a nice little mystery to it, and a great introduction to the Yeti. So a 7 out of 10 for The Abominable Snowmen. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.